everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. Believe it or not, I am fully into the Christmas season. Now the reason why is I have to make gifts for everyone and I have to set up my files for my store. Now one thing that I've seen a lot and I wanted to make it on my own is I love these First Christmas in First Christmas in our new home. So I made this entire design in Silhouette Studio. So in this video, I am going to show you how to design this in Silhouette Studio and how to set up a file to cut, etch, and score with your Glowforge. So this is using the different line color functions in Silhouette Studio. So if you want to learn how to do this, go ahead and keep on watching. And if you want to know how you can save up to $500 on a new Glowforge, then click the link in my description below. Hey friends, I am in Silhouette Studio, so I am going to show you how to use point editing to create this design. Now this design is actually really useful to use to learn how to point edit because it's got a lot of flat lines, so it's easy to get used to the points. So the first thing I did is I just Google searched a picture of a key. So I brought this in here and I flipped it because I want the ridges on this side. Now, just a disclaimer, you cannot Google search images and just use them in your designs. You can use them as inspiration, but just because it's on Google does not mean it is open to everyone. So please make sure you're checking rights to photos and designs when you use them. That's part of the reason why I buy from design bundles, because I can just know for sure I can use it. But that's my little soapbox, be careful. But I have my key in here. So the way I'm going to point edit is I'm going to create the design with the little line tool and we're going to work from there. So over on your left side, you have your tool panel. This will probably look like two triangles for you. I practiced, so I hit this little figure 8. So your mouse is going to turn into a little crosshair. I apologize, mine is very small because it's just how my screen is. But what's going to happen is you're going to click, and it creates a point each place that you click. Now, if you're familiar with vector designing and those sorts of graphics, each point is a landmark that your machine uses. And so you have points and then you have paths. Paths are the lines that each point takes. So I'm gonna go right here and I want it to stop here. And I'm gonna click one more time and I'm gonna go right here to change direction. So click there, and then continue on clicking while you get to these main areas. Now don't worry about it being perfect, we're going to correct it later, but you want to click at each spot where it kind of changes just a little bit. So we're going to go like this, keep going like that, click again, and I'm just going to go over, this little jagged part of the key. I'm going to bring it up to match the top. And now whenever you're done closing a point, if you bring the red dot to the next red dot, it starts closing. Now it looks really curvy. It's no big deal. We're going to fix this. So I'm going to select my design. Now you can see when I first clicked, it got this big box. That means it clicked on my background image. Make sure you click right on the line, and you want your bounding box to look like this. So I'm going to go to my fill panel that's on the right side of my screen, not the top. I'm going to go right here. It's a little paint palette. I'm going to choose a color. I'm going to choose purple because it's different, so you can see it on top there. But now what we're going to do is we are going to bring the transparency over so we can see through it. So this allows us to see a little bit of the fill, but we can still see our background in there. Now it's time to point edit. I'm going to hit my select zoom tool. It looks like a little mouse. Click on that. I'm going to drag a box around the bottom of the key, and that selects where it wants to zoom. We're ready to go to point edit mode. Double click, and you can see these points are showing up. Now, with point editing, we are controlling where the points are, so where the landmarks are, but also how the line or the path is getting from one point to the other. So when I click on this dot here, you'll see that it turns into a white square, and then we have these long handles here, and then one of the lines is bold. Hopefully you can see that. So this bold line is the line that we're controlling right now, and these handles control the curve. So you can see we have point editing. You can delete the point. We don't want that. We can break the path, which will get those two red dots again. corner. So this means that I adjust, oops, I'm gonna hit Control Z, that I adjust the point and only adjust one side of this line. And smooth, when I pull this, it adjusts both sides. So I'm gonna just leave it like that. I'm gonna put it back to corner. And now I want this line to be flat all the way down. So I'm just gonna do make flat. So now you can see we have it all set there. So now, because I can see the fill in the outline, I'm gonna take this point and drag it more down to the bottom of the key. And a lot of these, we just want flat lines. So thick red line, make flat. Let's hit this next point here, right here. We want that to be flat, make flat. And now we can kind of adjust this as we go. And you can see this does curve a little bit, so you can adjust it if you want. So you can go right here and we can do make curve. And the way this handle works is I kind of picture that this line keeps trying to touch this handle. So the way you adjust it, it follows it. So I'm going to bring it down and curve it ever so slightly to go there. So you can see it's curved like that. I'm going to double click again to get back to my point editing. So we have our line here, make flat. Let's fix this point to bring it in there. And then we're just going to keep following this. So hopefully this makes sense. It's really just time to learn it. Whole point editing is not hard once you figure out the basics. So just give yourself some time. It's not going to be something you know right away, but I promise you, when you do start mastering point editing, it's going to open a whole new world of designing for you, because you don't have any real limits anymore. You can kind of set up your design however you want. So it's a lot of flat lines. Okay, so let me click on this. Let me fill it in, like make the transparency less so we can see how the key looks. Pretty good, right? So now I want to do this little ridge that's in there. Oh, let me put that back. So I'm going to use my rectangle tool and just draw it right in here. And I'm not going to make it as thick. I'm going to kind of set it up like that. And let me fill this in blue. Okay, I'm going to go back to my screen. Oops, I didn't mean to make another square. All right, let's move our key out of here. So this is what we're looking for. So we're going to set this up, and for Glowforge, we want this to be engraved. So I'm going to go right here, and we're going to select both of these. Hey friends, so I found a better way to do this than when I recorded. So I'm going to take both of these, and I want the line to stay on top of the key. So I made a copy, went to my modify panel, and I cropped the line and the key. So the key line was kind of cropped to the size of the edge. So I just changed the color. I'm going to make it a different color so I can see the difference in here. So I can line it up with my original key. So just going to right click, bring that to front because I made that after. Use the original red line to guide it in place, and then delete that red. And that'll allow it to be the right size. And we're all set. So I want the top of my key to be a house. A basic house is super simple. It is a triangle and a square. So let's do our square first. You're gonna hit your rectangle tool. Hold down the shift button. This allows you to make a perfect square. It creates symmetrical objects. So we'll do that. And you have a couple ways that you can make a triangle. You can do your shape tool here. So I'm going to go right here to this polygon tool, click one time, drag it out. Don't worry about the sides right now. This slider adjusts how many sides, so let's bring it down to 3. And now we're all set. I'm going to set it up like this. Now you can adjust it a little bit more so you can see it turned it. And I'm going to fix it a little bit. So now I don't need to adjust any more sides. I'm going to right click, convert to path, which just means I don't need to adjust it anymore. Let's just leave it like that. Let's make it a shape. I'm going to grab this top line and squish this triangle down to make it more like a roof. Make it a little bit smaller. And bring this up just a little bit more. And I'm going to select both of these. In the top toolbar, this is my quick access toolbar. I'm going to line the middle like that. And now we're all set. Now, I'm going to fill this in and make sure I have my proportions right before I weld it. So let's select both of these, black, and now you can see it's a little bit too much of an arrow. So I'm going to squish it a little bit more. Oh, that's not what I wanted. And let's bring it like this. Now, this is why I like filling it in. It makes it a lot easier. I think I need it to be flatter. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So let's bring this in. And it's a key, like it's an ornament, guys. So let's go right here, grab both of these. Top toolbar, this is our weld. So now we have our house, super easy. Let's shrink this down a little bit more to fit onto our keychain a little bit better. Cute, right? And we need to like make it a little bit bigger. What do you think? Now it looks weird because it's multiple colors. Let's grab both of these. Let's see how it looks centered. That was pretty good. Now I want this ridge, this blue, to be a different function. So let's grab this again and treat it differently now. Right click, ungroup. Now I'm going to select the purple, hold down shift to grab your house, and weld it. Cute, right? That's a weird color key, but it's cute, right? So there's our key right there. So that's going to be engraved. So let's just make this brown to make it more visual for us. Oh, that's not a good brown. Let's make it dark brown. And let's make this a little bit lighter so we can make it more visual. So let's go to this one. Make that more lighter. So let's do a few more things. We want to do First Christmas in our new home. So we're going to type out First Christmas. Hey, I'm back. So I realized when I started doing the words that I hadn't even thought about the fonts that I was going to use, and the process for me to pick out a font takes forever. So I just stopped it while I figured it out. So I did a series of 2 fonts. So this first one right here is Barlow Condensed. I did it in all caps, and that's the same font for the bottom. I just put it in bold. And then I used this script right here. It's called Almanade. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I got it from Font Bundles. So we have it set in here. And one thing to keep in mind too is this line right here, I made it a little bit too high before. So when you do it, don't make it that high. All right, so now here's the fun part. Now we need to set this up with the different functions for our Glowforge, because what I want this to be is I want a little outline scored. I want this dark in here engraved, but I also want to do like the outline of the key. So before I do anything else, I'm actually just gonna kind of make this, nope, I don't like that. I'm not gonna make it smaller. I'm gonna keep it just like that. Maybe, let me just see. Oops, I just moved that. Nope, I'm going back and doing it that way. I thought whatever, it's fine. So the way that Glowforge works is that it works off of the line color for each function. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure my script font is not still a font. See how this still has that? And that's dangerous because your overlapping lines will be in there, so it won't engrave a smooth design. You'll have the little parts where the lines overlap, the letters overlap will show up. So we're going to weld that, and then weld this one. And then I like to group this entire design, so I'm going to select this whole top part of the key. Now all my words are selected, including the key. I don't want the key, so I'm going to hold down shift, grab that. Now all of this is selected. Right click and make compound path. What I have just done is I just have taken all of this and told the software, hey, this is one big object, keep it together forever. Now the words here and this part right here is what's going to be engraved. So I'm going to go right here, select both of these, and we want the line to be a different color than the rest of our design. I'm going to go right here, and I'm just going to make the line brown like my design itself. This is engraving. This red line is going to be a score line, which is just one little sweep across. And now I need to make the line to cut it out of my wood. Select your key. Go to your offset panel. It's the star with the line around it. Open it. Make sure your key is selected. and click offset. Now you can see there's this outline made around it. It's a little bit bigger than what I want. I'm going to take this slider and slide it in to make it closer. I like it like that. Hit apply. Now the line color for your offset and your key are the same color. So you need to change one of them to make sure they're two different functions. I'm going to go right here and make this line color blue. Now we're all set to go. All you have to do is select your design right here, go to File, Save Selection, and then save it as an SVG to your hard drive. So I'm going to go ahead, save this, and I will see you in my Glowforge software. Alright, so I'm in Glowforge. I have my design set up right here. Now, I didn't size it in my Silhouette Studio. I figured I can do that in this software. So I'm going to select this whole thing. The little ruler down here allows me to resize. Make sure your aspect ratio is locked by that little chain. And this keychain, this ornament is 5.5 inches tall. So it's a little bit tall. I'm going to set it to about 3. I think that that's fair. Alright, so now we need to set up the functions. I'm going to click over on this side. It'll help us choose it. Right here is our engrave. I'm going to do Birch 2, which is a setting I did to test something, which just means my speed is at 500, my power is at 50, and I'm doing 225 lines per inch. And then I have a faster setting I did in there, which is the speed at 1,000. So I'm going to do 2, or let me see what 1 is. That's about the same. So let's do 2. Now we're going to let this one choose. So this one gets a little bit tricky because I have 2 lines that look almost exactly the same. So we are going to select one of these. This is probably the score, so let's go right here and score it. And see? Check it out. So that inside line turned pink. When it has a setting attached to it, it turns a color. Now let's grab our outside, and I'm going to cut it, do birch, and then this is my setting, speed at 150 at full power. And then I just want to make sure I set this to auto. And let's check our score settings. Auto, good. All of these are set to auto. Before I do anything else, I want to, oh, one thing I totally forgot. I forgot to do, oops, the hole for my ornament, which is super easy. I'm going to go right here to my insert shape, insert a circle, and just throw one in there. So this is about a little more than 1/4 inch thick. Not a quarter, I'm sorry, 1/8 of an inch thick. Let me just zoom in so I can find my placement a little bit better. Let's pan that over. Let's zoom in. Alright, now let's select this, enter settings. I'm going to cut this with my birch settings, and we have it right here. And I'm going to make it just a tiny bit smaller. 0.125 is 1/8 of an inch, which I think is fine. You could probably make it a little bit smaller if you want. Now all of our settings are in. So we have cut, engrave, score, and another cut. So I'm going to drag this circle I just did all the way to the bottom so that this is the last cut that's made. This is the order that it'll go. So you have your engrave, your score, your cut, and another cut. So let's view this whole thing. Let's zoom out. I'm going to set my focus right here, set focus right there. That just makes sure that my lens has the right height so I'm not making any mistakes there. So it's, you know, adjusting the power of the laser. So we're going to let that go and we will be ready. Alright, so it's all ready. I'm going to take my ornament and just nudge it over a little bit more to maximize my space so I'm not wasting my wood. Let's throw that right in there. And now I'm all good to go. Print, this will process, it'll tell me how long this is going to take, and I will see you over at the Glowforge for the cutting and engraving. Alright guys, my keys are finally done. Now I wanted to point out I had to make a couple adjustments after I got started. This is my original key. Now the issue with this that I had was I didn't mask it, so I sanded it to get some of the charring off, But when I sanded it, there were two issues that I found. One, the scoring is so light that it went away. And two, I should have done more space between my scoring line and my cut. So I adjusted it to this one. So this one, I made the line around it a little bit larger, which I was happy with that. And then I increased the power on my etching, my etching to full power. Now this was okay. I did have this masked, but if you look, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but when you look through it, the etching is a little bit too deep. You can almost see it through there. So it was nice and dark, but it was too far through. So this is my final one. This is with the larger line. And what I did is I still kept my speed at 500, but I set my power to 85. So not full power, but 30 more. You can see there's a little bit of charring down here. I didn't have it masked. So what I'm going to do for now on is I'm going to mask it with some painter's tape and use these settings in here. But a fun little ornament. I think it's perfect for Christmas time. I have several friends who just bought houses this year. So this is the perfect little ornament as a housewarming gift. Maybe you'll see it eventually. There you go. It's a perfect little housewarming gift, so I'm really excited to give it to them. Now, let me know in the comments below. I can put the base file in the description for you to download. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. And if you like this video and you'd like to see how I made this, make sure you like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any more uploads.